Let me take you back here for a second. The year is 2018. I just bought my first DSLR, a Panasonic GH5. I'm on top of the world. We're ready to make some money finally from filmmaking. What did Eminem say? Like, knees weak, arms are heavy. It's exactly how I felt. I was nervous. At the time, this would be my first video that isn't a travel video of me and Sav going around about all across the US and some international trips and all of that. This is the first non-montagey looking back at fun moments with just me. This is someone else, this is their life, and this is their story. I recently had a conversation with my buddy Jake, fellow filmmaker, as you know. Promise the podcast is coming out eventually. We're still working on it. And we just talked about various things, but my first gig kind of came up, right, in conversation. So rather than me sitting here in this office that is mine with my logo right here thinking I'm all cool, I want to take you back to that recorded podcast because it was the first time I was asked a question, the most authentic that I felt about the answer. And yeah, hopefully it helps those people that are going into their first gig not knowing what to do. But I guess let's roll it. My first paid gig as a filmmaker was one of my coworkers and friends, her wedding. She was nice enough to trust me with it. I didn't have anything to show her, right? It wasn't like, hey, look at all my past portfolio, this, that, and the other. It was an unbelievable experience because, first of all, to truly know the individual on the other side of the camera, right? And to know the story of how she met her husband and the life that they were living up until that point, you felt a lot higher of an emotional attachment to that, right? So it's like, okay, I know that I'm, because it's my first gig, I know that I'm probably not the best videographer. I'm probably not the best storyteller. I'm probably not the best, all those things. But I'm going to work my face off for this because they're trusting me with one of the biggest days in their life, and they have no reason to. So my first gig, it was nerve-wracking. I show up, I'm pumped, like excited, right? And of course, you know how it is. You have like an idea of like a shot list. Well, because it was my first gig, I probably watched about 40 hours worth of wedding videos to the point where I was like wondering like, geez, should I start like wanting to propose or like what's going on here? Like, this is crazy. And, what was constant throughout those 40 videos was just the idea of this story, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I know this individual's story, right? I know how they met. I know they've spent a while dating and all of those things and the ups and downs. I know their personalities and things. So I felt comfortable with that. But it was an overwhelming thing because it was just like, weddings just happen so fast. And in a blink of an eye, things were just happening crazy. I was running around. My poor girlfriend, Sav, was with me there. I had her on a camera. Like, I'm like just sweating all over. I'm nervous. And I'll never forget when I sat down and dumped all the footage onto a hard drive, right? And I started going through it. I'm like, this sucks. I can't believe I screwed up their wedding. And I freaked out for about 30 minutes. Luckily, Sav was there to talk me down a little bit and help me out. And I was like, wait, hold on. Let's give this a shot. Like, let's realize that, hey, this is your first time doing this. You're helping these people out and telling their story and talking about their specific wedding day and showcasing all the great things that happened. Let's not put all this unnecessary pressure on yourself. Sat back down and just started editing, right? I just found my groove. I was like, okay, this is a good clip. This is a good one. And probably about 3 hours later, I look up and realize that it's been 3 hours, first of all. And then I realize, okay, like, I don't need to be beating up myself before I even start something because it's not going to be perfect ever. So just having that realization and that learning experience of like, okay, like, hey, just let's realize that this was our first one. We're going to get better. It gave me the courage to then put myself out there and start contacting other people about, hey, like here's a wedding video that I did, and I would show it to them, right? And I'd be honest with them and be like, hey, that was my first video ever done, right? And just laying it all out there on the table for them, but making them truly understand that I will go absolutely ballistic, work my face off in order to capture every single moment that happens that day and put together something that you're proud of for the rest of your life. Like, that's my goal. You can pay me, I guess. You don't have to, like, we never talked about money. Money never came up because it was just like, I know that I need the experience and I need the growth aspect of that, right? So I think that project probably generated the next 2 to 3 years worth of confidence in myself that I could do this. Now, since, there's been other projects, maybe bigger projects, maybe, corporate jobs, things like that have re-emphasized that. But just that one project alone, the very first one I ever did, made me realize that I wanted to do this for the rest of my life.